The emergency beacon from Infernus 7 had been screaming across subspace for 14 hours before anyone bothered to listen. 3,000 workers trapped beneath a collapsing volcanic mining colony wasn't exactly newsworthy when 12 different species had already tried and failed to extract them. The rescue attempts had become a spectacle of failure, broadcast across the galaxy as proof that some disasters were simply too massive for intervention. Lieutenant David Cross watched the holographic display flicker with heat signatures that shouldn't exist. Temperatures exceeding 800 degrees, toxic gas concentrations that would dissolve most organic matter in seconds, and magma flows cutting through the underground facilities like molten knives. He stood in the Galactic Assembly Hall on Station Meridian, surrounded by species who had built their civilizations on worlds where survival came easy. "The Terran delegation wishes to address the Council," Ambassador Ruth Hammond said, her voice cutting through the murmured conversations. High Curator Vethris, an Ashkari with skin like polished marble and eyes that had witnessed 3 centuries of galactic history, raised one delicate hand. "The humans wish to speak about myths again," she said, not unkindly. "Perhaps they have another entertaining story from their primitive databases." Ruth didn't flinch. She'd been dealing with galactic condescension for 5 years now, ever since Earth had joined the Assembly as a backwater newcomer. "Not myths, Curator, history." She activated her own display, showing ancient texts from a dozen extinct civilizations. "Your archives contain references to flame walkers across multiple cultures, beings who traversed environments that should have killed them, worlds of fire where nothing could survive." Council Speaker Malthian, a Quillari whose species prided themselves on logic and reason, made a dismissive gesture. "Ancient superstitions. Before our ancestors understood thermodynamics, they invented gods who could walk through fire. It's a common evolutionary phase among developing species." "We can get them out," David said flatly. The assembly hall went quiet, not the respectful silence of consideration, but the awkward pause before laughter. It came quickly, rippling through the assembled representatives like a wave. The Drenth military advisors actually slapped their appendages against their seats in amusement. "The humans are feeling heroic today," Malthian said, his translator conveying amusement perfectly. "Tell me, Lieutenant, did your people also believe they could fly before discovering the laws of gravity?" David pulled up footage from Earth, real footage, not simulations or historical reconstructions. A firefighter ran into a burning building in Chicago, flames consuming the structure around him. Hotshot crews worked ahead of a wildfire in Australia, the inferno visible just meters behind them. A volcanologist in Iceland collected samples from an active lava flow, close enough to feel the heat warping the air. The laughter stopped. Vethris leaned forward, her ancient eyes narrowing. "These are your people walking into fire." She brought up her own database, cross-referencing the footage with the old texts. The descriptions matched with uncomfortable precision. Beings protected by thin second skins who walked through flames as if heat itself feared them. "Earth has active volcanoes," Ruth explained, keeping her tone educational rather than confrontational. "We've built cities on their slopes. We have forests that burn every summer. We have deserts where the ground temperature exceeds 70 degrees. Our firefighters train by running into situations that would kill most species before they could scream." "Impossible," a Vexen counselor interjected. "Our rescue teams had the finest thermal protection technology in the galaxy. It failed within 6 minutes. You're telling us your primitive equipment would succeed where our advanced systems collapsed." General Thorwick stepped forward. He'd been standing in the shadows, but now his presence filled the chamber. 20 years of military service across 3 planetary conflicts had left scars on his face that no medical technology could fully erase. "We're not offering technology," he said. "We're offering humans." "That's suicide," Malthian said, but his voice had lost its mocking edge. "The Drenth lost an entire rescue team. Their suits melted. The heat simply overwhelmed every safety system." "How hot does your average day get on the Quillari homeworld?" Ruth asked. 22 degrees, Malthian answered, 25 in the warmest regions. Death Valley on Earth regularly exceeds 50 degrees, Ruth said. We run marathons there, we train soldiers there, we live there. She pulled up more data. Our internal body temperature is 37 degrees. We cool ourselves through perspiration, a biological system most species find disgusting and primitive. But it works. David activated a tactical display. The Terran Extreme Environment Division can deploy within 8 hours. We need clearance and transport, nothing else. You'll die, Vethris said, but she was reading the ancient texts again, her fingers trembling slightly. The prophecies spoke of flame walkers who would emerge when the galaxy needed them most. I thought they were metaphorical, warnings about hubris dressed as heroic myths. They're workers down there, Ruth said simply. 3,000 living beings who deserve a chance. Earth trained us for this, not on purpose, but our world doesn't care about our comfort. It made us hard, it made us adaptable, it made us capable of walking through fire when necessary. Malthian looked at the footage again, humans running toward danger that would send any rational being fleeing. He thought about his own world, gentle and carefully terraformed to perfection. He thought about the Quillari rescue team that had burned. The Council grants clearance, he said quietly. But we're sending observers. When you fail, I want a record of your bravery. It will be remembered. When we succeed, General Thorwick said, remember that Earth's harshness was a gift, not a curse. Ruth looked through the viewport at distant Earth, blue and green and beautiful in its deadly way. Her grandfather had fought wildfires in California for 40 years. He told her once that fire doesn't care about fare, only fuel. Humans had learned to be both. The assembly dispersed, most members certain they just witnessed humans choose honor over survival. Vethris remained, reading prophecies that suddenly felt less like myths and more like memories the galaxy had forgotten. The TCEV Phoenix cut through space like a blade, its hull scarred from a dozen extreme environment deployments that would have destroyed civilian vessels. Captain Rita Flores stood in the operations center, studying thermal scans of Infernus 7, while her crew prepared for what most species considered impossible. The planet dominated the forward display. Black rock continents fractured by rivers of magma, ash clouds thick enough to block 70% of sunlight, and volcanic eruptions that never seemed to stop. It looked like Earth might have looked 4 billion years ago before. Water and life had gentled it into something habitable. Beautiful, Specialist Omar Hassan muttered, running calculations on his tablet. In a this will absolutely kill us kind of way. Observer Quentis made a sound like grinding metal. The Drenth military analyst had been aboard for 6 hours and had spent every minute cataloging human inadequacies. Your heat suits are 3 generations behind current galactic standards, he said, manipulating the human equipment with obvious disdain. The material composition is primitive. The cooling systems are mechanical rather than quantum-based. This is museum-quality technology. Museum pieces that work, squad leader Lin Wei said without looking up from her equipment check. She'd survived the Australian firestorms of 2285 and had the burn scars to prove it. Fancy tech fails, simple tech just needs maintenance. Observer Yalina, the Ashkari scholar, recorded everything with the intensity of someone witnessing a religious event. She'd spent the journey reading ancient texts, comparing mythological descriptions to what she was seeing. The humans moved with practiced efficiency, no wasted motion, no panic. Just professionals preparing for another day at the office, even if the office was hell. 3 survivor groups, Rita announced, pulling up the tactical display. Alpha team takes the magma breach, Beta handles the gas tunnels, Gamma secures the unstable access points. She zoomed in on each location. Temperatures range from 600 to 1100 degrees, toxic concentrations high enough to corrode most metals, structural integrity at 40% and falling. This is madness, Quentis said. The Drenth Empire sent our best rescue specialists, military-grade thermal protection, quantum cooling, emergency teleportation systems. They lasted 6 minutes before the heat overwhelmed everything. 6 minutes. He gestured at the humans. You have inferior equipment and you expect to succeed where we failed. Rita smiled. You know what the difference is between Drenth rescue teams and human firefighters. Enlighten me. We don't expect the fire to cooperate. She pulled up Earth data. Centralia, Pennsylvania, underground coal fire burning since 1962. Still burning today, we built around it. The gates of hell in Turkmenistan, natural gas crater that's been on fire for 50 years. Tourists visit it. The lava lakes in Ethiopia where volcanologists work every day, collecting data from molten rock that's over 1,000 degrees. Dr. Aaron Levy joined them, medical scanner in hand. Human Physiology 101, he said cheerfully. We sweat. Disgusting, I know, but it's incredibly efficient. We can maintain core temperature in extreme heat longer than most species. We evolved in African savannas where temperatures regularly hit 45 degrees. Our ancestors hunted by literally running prey to death in heat that should have killed them. Persistence hunting, Yelena whispered. The ancient texts mention it, beings who could outlast anything through pure endurance. The Phoenix entered orbit. Proximity alarms screamed as heat from the planet's surface reached up through the atmosphere. Surface scans showed the colony infrastructure buckling, support beams warping, entire sections already collapsed. They had maybe 18 hours. Rita gathered her teams, 30 humans in total, each one a veteran of extreme environments. Listen up, she said. We're not here to make galactic history, we're here to bring people home. Earth made us for this kind of work, not because we're special, but because our planet was mean enough to force us to adapt. Omar outlined the approach. We're using natural lava tubes as access routes where possible. The magma follows predictable flow patterns, same physics as Hawaii. We redirect rather than resist, create barriers using local materials, work with the environment instead of against it. Suicide, Quentis muttered. Calculated risk, Lynn corrected. There's a difference. Suicide is pointless. Risk in service of rescue is necessary. The humans began suiting up. Yelena watched the ritual with fascination. Each piece of equipment was checked 3 times, seals tested and retested, communication systems verified, emergency protocols reviewed. It reminded her of ancient warrior preparations, the careful attention to detail that separated professionals from heroes who died quickly. Rita inspected her team. Heat-resistant suits that looked crude compared to galactic technology, but had proven themselves in conditions that destroyed more advanced equipment. Respirators designed for toxic environments. Thermal barriers that worked on simple physics rather than complex quantum mechanics. Portable cooling units that could be field repaired with basic tools. Final check, she called. Alpha Team. Ready, Omar. Confirmed. Beta Team. Set, Lynn responded. Gamma Team. Good to go, Lieutenant Sam Wright answered. Rita looked at the planet below. Remember your training, trust your equipment, trust each other. We've done this before, just never this far from home. The dropships launched. Quentis watched the thermal readings spike as they entered the atmosphere. They're going to die, he said, but it sounded less like certainty and more like prayer. No one survives this. Yelena didn't respond. She was recording everything, comparing real-time data to prophecies written millennia ago. Flame walkers descending into hell, warriors who treated fire as inconvenient rather than impossible. The myths were very specific about one thing. They always brought everyone home. The first dropship touched down on the landing pad. The landing gear sank into softening rock. External temperature read 340 degrees. The ramp lowered. Humans walked out into hell, calm, professional, unafraid. Quentis stopped breathing. Yelena started crying. The galaxy was about to learn that some myths were just forgotten truths. Rita's voice crackled over the comm. All teams advancing, let's go to work. Heat distortion made the landscape shimmer like a mirage. Alpha Team moved across terrain that was literally cooking beneath their boots. Omar's scanner registered ground temperature at 412 degrees and climbing. Behind them, the dropship's landing gear had partially melted into the rock, leaving permanent impressions. "Steady pace," Rita commanded over the comm. "Hydration check in 5 minutes." She led her team toward the magma breach, using thermal imaging to map the safest route. The colony's main access tunnel was blocked by a river of molten rock, glowing orange-red and radiating heat that made the air above it dance. From orbit, Quentis monitored vital signs with growing disbelief. 23 minutes of exposure, he said. Our best strength equipment failed at 6. Their suits should be compromised. Their internal temperatures should be critical. Maybe their equipment is better than it looks, Yelena suggested. Or maybe they're better. Quentis pulled up comparative data. Human core temperatures were elevated but stable, respiration increased but controlled, heart rates high but not dangerous. They're functioning in conditions that killed our teams. Beta team entered the gas tunnels. Lynn's scanner detected hydrogen sulfide concentrations that would corrode most species' respiratory systems in seconds. The air itself was toxic enough to dissolve organic tissue. "Full respirators," she ordered. "Stay in formation. Watch for pockets." Behind her, Dr. Levy carried medical supplies and a portable cooling unit. "First rule of volcano rescue," he said conversationally, like they were discussing the weather. "The gas will kill you faster than the heat. Second rule, everything is hotter than it looks. Third rule, lava always has right of way." They found the first survivor group huddled in a sealed chamber. Quillari and Vexen workers, their environmental suits barely functioning, condensation streaming down the inside of their helmets. They were conscious but clearly suffering. Heat exhaustion, dehydration, shock. "We're getting you out," Lynn said through her translator. "Stay calm, we know what we're doing." One of the Quillari grabbed her arm. "The tunnel's too hot, you'll die." Lynn gently removed the grip. "We're human, we'll be fine." Dr. Levy assessed them quickly. They can't survive the extraction route in their current condition. He started improvising stretchers using salvaged materials and cooling units. "We carry them." "You can't carry us through that heat," a Vexen engineer protested. "Our body mass, the distance, it's impossible." "Watch us." Lynn organized her team. 2 humans per alien survivor. Portable cooling units attached to makeshift stretchers. They'd done similar rescues in the Australian outback, carrying heat stroke victims across terrain that most species would call uninhabitable. Gamma team faced collapsing rock formations. Sam studied the seismic data, recognizing patterns from Earth's volcanic regions. "We've got a window," he announced. "Seismic activity follows a rhythm, 30 seconds of relative stability between tremors. We move during the calm." "That's insane," one of his team members said. "That's geology," Sam checked his chronometer. "Next window in 20 seconds on my mark." The ground shook, dust and fragments rained down, then stillness. "Go!" They moved as one, crossing unstable ground during the brief moment when the planet stopped trying to kill them. Technique learned from volcanic research stations in Iceland and Indonesia, where humans had learned to dance with tectonic activity. Alpha Team reached the magma breach, a river of molten rock 12 meters wide, blocking their path. Temperature at the flow's edge read 980 degrees. Omar deployed heat shields and cooling spray, creating a temporary barrier. "Can you stop it?" Rita asked. "No," Omar studied the flow pattern, "but I can redirect it. Same principle as Hawaiian lava diversion. We don't fight nature, we negotiate with it." He started setting up a barrier using local rock and salvaged colony materials. "This'll hold for maybe 2 hours, enough time to clear the survivors." Rita nodded. "Make it happen." They worked quickly, humans moving through heat that was melting their sensor equipment but not stopping their progress. Yelena watched their vital signs from orbit, still elevated, still stable, still functioning. She pulled up the ancient texts again, flame walkers who shaped fire itself, warriors who bent impossible environments to their will through pure skill and determination. Lynn's team emerged from the gas tunnels carrying Quillari and Vexen survivors, 2 humans per alien, moving steadily through toxic air that should have killed everyone. Dr. Levy monitored the survivors' conditions, adjusting portable cooling as needed. "How," one of the Quilleri whispered, "how are you doing this?" "Practice," Lynn answered simply. "Earth has a lot of places like this. You learn to adapt or you don't survive. Our ancestors chose adaptation." 37 survivors from the first section reached the extraction point. Humans barely winded despite carrying multiple beings through hell. Quentis ran the numbers again. The math didn't work. The biology didn't work. But reality didn't care about what should be possible. "Second section incoming," Rita reported. 42 survivors, multiple critical, Beta team has them. Omar's barrier held. The magma flow diverted, creating a temporary safe passage. Gamma team secured the unstable access points using techniques from mining disasters on Earth. The third survivor group was still trapped, deeper underground, beneath conditions that exceeded all previous readings. Yelena transmitted ancient texts to Rita, prophecies about flame walkers teaching the galaxy what strength truly meant. Rita read them while hauling equipment. "We're not special," she replied. "We're just from Earth. Anyone who survived our world would do the same." But as she watched her team's work, humans carrying aliens through environments that should kill. Them all, humans redirecting lava like it was a minor inconvenience. Humans breathing toxic air and walking on ground hot enough to melt metal. She understood what the galaxy was learning. Earth hadn't made humans special. It had made them necessary, because sometimes the universe needed someone crazy enough to walk into fire. And Earth, beautiful, deadly Earth, had spent 4 billion years making exactly that kind of crazy. "Third section detected," Sam reported. 17 survivors, deepest level, every hazard simultaneously. Rita smiled. "Then we go get them, all teams, combined operation. Let's show the galaxy what flame walkers really are." The first evacuation shuttle lifted off with 37 survivors. Quentis coordinated medical teams from orbit, his earlier skepticism replaced by focused efficiency. He still didn't understand how humans were surviving conditions that killed Drenth Special Forces, but he'd stopped questioning and started helping. Rita descended deeper into the colony. The second survivor group was trapped below a collapsed section. Conventional rescue equipment wouldn't penetrate the rubble before the entire structure gave way. Her scanner showed the third group even deeper, 17 life signs in the lowest level where sensors barely functioned. Chief Engineer Brell, a Vexen who designed the colony, regained consciousness in the medical bay. "The third group," he said weakly. "Impossible. The access tunnel flooded with magma hours ago. I watched the sensors die." Omar appeared on the video link. "We're making a new tunnel." He showed the geological scans. "Controlled explosions through cooler rock. It's a technique from Chilean mining rescues. We go around the problem." "You'll cause total collapse," Brell protested. "Only if we do it wrong," Omar smiled. "Good thing we've done this before." On Station Meridian, Speaker Malthian watched the live feeds in silence. The entire galactic assembly had gathered, expecting to witness noble human failure. Instead, they were watching something that shouldn't exist. Humans succeeding where every advanced species had failed. Vethra stood beside him, ancient texts displayed on her personal screen. "The prophecies are very specific," she said quietly. "Stone speakers who break mountains, flame walkers who teach strength, healers who carry the wounded through fire." She looked at Malthian. "We thought they were metaphors." "They were memories," Malthian whispered. "Memories of humans before they reached the stars." Gamma team set the explosives with precision Sam had learned from disaster response training. Each charge calculated to create a new passage without triggering cascade failure. 30 seconds, he announced. "Everyone clear." The explosion was controlled, perfect. A new tunnel opened through layers of cooler rock. Then everything went wrong. The blast penetrated a pocket of superheated gas under extreme pressure. Temperature spiked to 1200 degrees. Sensors failed. Warning lights screamed. "I'll take it," Lynn said immediately. "Beta team just finished an extraction," Rita protested over the comm. Which means we're warmed up, Lynn checked her equipment. Besides, we've got the most experience with extreme heat. Send Levy back to the surface with the wounded. I'm taking the team in. Dr. Levy started to argue, but Lynn cut him off. This is what we trained for. This is why Earth sent us. Get those survivors to safety. We'll handle this. Beta team entered the new tunnel, heat that exceeded their suit specifications. Their sensors started failing, but the humans inside remained functional, moving forward on experience when technology gave up. Lynn called out hazards based on visual cues, reading the environment like her ancestors read wildfire behavior. Yelena transmitted more ancient texts, prophecies about beings who would teach the galaxy what strength truly means. Rita responded while coordinating all three teams. We're not teaching strength, we're showing adaptation. Earth didn't make us strong, it made us stubborn. The second survivor group, 42 workers from 7 species, many critical. Beta team began immediate evacuation. Humans carrying multiple survivors through heat that continued climbing. One human supported 2 Quillari. Another carried a semi-conscious Drenth engineer who outweighed him by 40 kilograms. Brell watched from the medical bay. His entire understanding of capability was being rewritten. His species had built their civilization on gentle worlds, avoiding harsh environments, engineering perfect conditions. How do you endure what kills us? He asked Omar. Omar was hauling equipment while coordinating the tunnel breakthrough. We don't endure it, he said between breaths. We make it endure us. Nature doesn't care about fair, so we learn to care about. Survival, Earth taught us that lesson every single day. The Vexen engineer stared at footage of human history. Volcanic eruptions that destroyed cities but not the humans who rebuilt them. Wildfires that consumed forests but not the firefighters who fought them. Deserts that should be uninhabitable but housed millions. Your world tried to kill you. Every day, Omar smiled. We took it personally. Third location confirmed. The magma flood was receding, 17 survivors detected in the deepest section. But reaching them required traversing every hazard simultaneously. Unstable rock, toxic gases, superheated air, molten barriers, 90 minutes until total structural failure. Rita made the decision. Combined operation, all teams converge, one final push. She looked at the mission timer. They'd been in hell for 9 hours. Most species would be dead from exposure alone. Her teams were tired but functional. We're bringing everyone home. Quentis broke Drenth military protocol. Orbital support authorized. Precision geological scans, seismic prediction algorithms, whatever you need. His voice carried something like awe. The Drenth Empire stands with the Flame Walkers. Yelena coordinated with Ashkari data networks, feeding real-time information to the human teams, cross-referencing ancient survival techniques with modern sensor data. The entire galaxy was watching, witnessing humans rewrite the boundaries of possible. General Thorwick appeared on the command channel from the Phoenix. Status: 96 souls accounted for so far, Rita reported. 17 remaining, 90 minutes to structural collapse. We're going to need every second. Then use them well, Thorwick's scarred face showed pride. The galaxy is watching. Show them what Earth's children can do. All 3 teams converged on the deepest section, moving through a colony that was actively dying. Support beams warping, automated systems offline. Only human determination keeping the mission alive. They navigated by instinct and training, reading an environment that had stopped making sense to technology. Sam found a route through the unstable sections. Lynn cleared the toxic passages. Omar diverted the final magma barrier. 3 teams became one organism, each human knowing their role, trusting their training, believing in each other. Station Meridian watched in silence. The impossible was happening, not through superior technology, not through overwhelming force, but through sheer human capability, through adaptation Earth had demanded, through lessons learned on a world that never stopped testing its children. Rita saw the 17 life signs on her scanner, almost there, just a little further, into the deepest hell. where the galaxy said no one could survive. Time to prove them wrong, again. The deepest section of the colony was dying. Support beams buckled under impossible heat. Walls cracked and reformed as temperature fluctuations stressed the materials beyond their design limits. Automated safety systems had failed hours ago. Only the 17 survivors remained, huddled in what had been a reinforced storage chamber. Rita's combined team approached through Hell-made manifest. Magma flows on 3 sides, toxic gases thick enough to see, rock temperatures that exceeded anything from the previous missions. Her suit sensors had stopped providing reliable data 20 minutes ago. She was navigating by training and instinct now. Contact, Lynn called. Visual on survivors, they're alive. 17 beings from 6 different species, barely conscious. Their environmental suits flickering with failing power. Among them, 2 young Quilleri, their large eyes wide with fear. Their parents hadn't made it. These children had watched them die when the first collapse happened. Dr. Levy knelt beside them despite the chaos. "Hey there," he said gently through the translator. "We're going to get you home, I promise." The structural integrity was failing faster now. Omar's scanner showed cascade collapse beginning in the upper levels. They had perhaps 40 minutes. Rita organized the extraction. 2 humans per survivor, priority to the wounded and young. We move fast, but we move careful. Sam and his team created an emergency exit, blasting through weakened rock using shaped charges. The explosion triggered another tremor but opened a more direct route to the surface. Path clear, 30 meters to stable ground. They lifted the survivors, humans carrying aliens through conditions that defied survival. The 2 young Quilleri went with Rita and Lynn, small enough that one human could manage both. Rita held them against her chest, felt them trembling. "I've got you," she said. "Nothing's going to hurt you now." The colony began its final death. Whole sections collapsing into magma. The humans didn't run, they moved with. Controlled urgency. Professional even as hell consumed everything around them, each step calculated, each breath measured, training overriding panic. From orbit, the entire galaxy watched. Quentis provided real-time geological analysis, predicting collapses seconds before they happened, routing teams around danger zones. Yelena cross-referenced every movement with ancient prophecies. Both were crying, watching myths prove themselves true. "Main structure failing," Omar reported. He was carrying a Vexen engineer and 2 Drenth workers, moving through superheated air that made breathing feel like inhaling fire. 60 seconds to cascade. 40 meters to extraction, Sam countered. He'd cleared the path. Now he brought up the rear, making sure no one got left behind. "We're going to make it." Station Meridian was silent. Speaker Malthian stood frozen, watching humans do the impossible. Every instinct said this should fail. Every calculation predicted death. But humans kept moving, kept carrying, kept refusing to accept that some things were beyond capability. The last human cleared the collapse zone, 37 seconds to spare. Behind them, the entire lower colony vanished into magma, consumed by Infernus 7 volcanic fury. But in front of them, on the surface, 17 more survivors lived, carried out of hell by beings who'd learned to walk through fire. Emergency evacuation. Dropships descended through ash and heat. Humans loaded survivors first, themselves last. Professional to the end despite exhaustion that should have killed them hours ago. Rita did a final head count, 96 survivors, 0 human casualties, mission complete. The Phoenix received them, 11 hours of exposure to conditions that should have been instantly lethal. Humans had extracted 96 souls from death itself. The medical bay overflowed with survivors, every species represented, all alive because Earth had made humans stubborn enough to refuse the impossible. Return to station Meridian took 6 hours. The Galactic Assembly convened immediately, every representative present, every eye on the humans who'd just rewritten galactic understanding of capability. Speaker Malthian stood before them, his earlier mockery replaced by something approaching reverence. "We thought the ancient myths were fairy tales," he began. Warnings about hubris dressed as legends. We were wrong. He looked at Rita and her teams. The Flame Walkers were real. They simply hadn't reached the stars yet. Vethris presented her findings, dozens of ancient texts from extinct civilizations, all describing beings from a harsh world who walked through fire, all predicting they would one day teach the galaxy about true strength. They weren't myths, she said. They were prophecies, and prophecies have a way of coming true. Ambassador Ruth Hammond addressed the assembly. Earth didn't make us special, it made us survivors. Every harsh world creates life that adapts. We simply evolved on one of the harshest. She gestured to her people. This is what 4 billion years of planetary fury produces, not superheroes, just humans who refuse to quit. Admiral Helen Park arrived representing Earth Command. The assembly offered formal alliance, requested human expertise for extreme environment operations, asked humans to train galactic rescue forces. Earth accepted, on the condition that other species understood one truth. Humans weren't superior, just adapted to conditions most avoided. The two young Quillari approached Rita. Through translators, they asked if all humans were like the ancient flame walkers. Rita knelt to their level. Every human is a flame walker, she said gently. Earth made sure of that. Some of us fight fires, some explore volcanoes, some rescue people, but we all carry the same gift, the ability to survive what tries to kill us. Quentis and Yalina filed final reports. Both recommended complete reassessment of human capabilities. Both suggested reviewing all myths involving fire, heat, and impossible endurance. Both admitted they'd witnessed something that changed everything. Rita stood on the Phoenix observation deck with her team. Earth shone in the distance, blue and green and beautiful, deadly in ways the galaxy was only beginning to understand. They'll remember this, Omar said, the day humans proved the myths true. They'll remember that Earth builds survivors, Rita answered, and survivors don't abandon people, no matter how hot it gets. The assembly declared a new era. Human expertise would expand galactic capabilities. The myths weren't warnings, they were prophecies, and humanity had just fulfilled them. Vethris updated the galactic archives. The Flame Walkers were no longer myth, they were documented fact, and their homeworld Earth, that beautiful blue marble, was now understood as something unique, a death. World that didn't create victims, it created heroes. The galaxy would never mock ancient myths again.